Okay, so we're doing the thank you note writing workshop, which sounds thrilling, right? But it's going to be. How many of you save thank you notes? Like someone sends you a thank you note, do you ever save it? That's good. That's really good. How many of you write thank you notes that you think people actually save? All right, some of you. We're going to change that today. So, thank you notes. I mean, you have to kind of write them to be polite and to do the right thing, but there's a lot more than that, so we're going to go through that in a minute. But when I was thinking about thank you notes, spending a lot of time thinking about them, I realized that there's two kinds of notes, right? There's notes that I call tofu notes, and by tofu, I mean that they're really bland, they're boring, and people probably throw them out after they get them. And then there's something that I call cupcake notes. Kind of a cheesy name, but just stick with me. They're the ones that are really sincere, and they remind the recipient why they did something nice to you to begin with. So I call them cupcake notes because they're really heartfelt and sweet. It's almost like you sent someone a cupcake, right? I told you it's cheesy, but it works. So I've received a ton of thank you notes over the years from job candidates, interns, colleagues, and to be honest, most of them are really tofu. They're like so boring and bland, I look at them and I throw them out. But the handful of cupcake notes I get go into a special box, and I honestly reread those notes from time to time when I'm having like a really bad day, and they always make me feel better. So today I'm going to teach you how to write the perfect cupcake note. I'm getting hungry for cupcakes, sorry that I used that word. But first I want to share the secret reason why it's so important to send someone a thank you note, other than because it's like proper etiquette and your mom tells you you have to or whatever. A really good thank you note will improve the frequency and the quality of gifts that you get, which is pretty nice. But in our case today, it's the donations that you receive, the products, the sponsorships that make this all possible. So the more thank you notes, the more we get. Easy. And that's because people like to be appreciated for things they do for you. They want to feel acknowledged, and if they feel acknowledged, they're going to do it again and again and again. So let's talk about these cupcake notes and how to write them on that hot pink paper you all have. First, get it in the mail quickly. This is kind of a no-brainer, but if you send out a thank you note really late, you know what it does? It reminds the person how late your thank you note is. So you might as well not send one at all. So you're going to send it on time. 2, use cute but not cutesy stationery. For us today, hot pink paper, perfect. It's GlamourGals, it's hot pink. In your personal life, it's really fun. It's my favorite part of writing a thank you note is picking out the stationery. So unless you're sending it to a good friend, go with a design that's sophisticated, still shows your personality, and pick something on the smaller side. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time filling up the whole thing. And if you just write 2 lines, it's going to look really awkward. Or write big, okay? That's the other solution. Check the spelling of the person's name you're sending the note to, and then guess what? Check it again. So many people send me thank you notes with my name spelled wrong. I'm like, well, that's not really a thank you, but all right. Another thing, you're going to be like, no doubt, thanks, Andrea, for this wise words. But start off with thank you. I read a lot of thank you notes that open with, I'm just writing to say thank you. Well, obviously, you're writing to say thank you, so you don't have to state the obvious. Just start with thank you for. Now, when you're thanking someone for a monetary donation, like they donated money or whatever, you never directly reference the money. Instead, you say something like, thank you so much for your generosity or your kindness. Trust me, they know what they gave you. Mention how you plan to use the gift. This is where we get into the whole cupcake note thing, like make it personal. Otherwise, they're going to think that we put a template up today that was like Mad Libs, like fill in the blanks. Dear blank, thank you for the blank. You want it to be personal. So for today, that means mentioning the event that was sponsored, this one today, and the relationship of the sponsor to the event. Thank you for the water. Kept us hydrated all day. I was thirsty and I loved your water. That kind of thing. You should also include a line or two about how you benefited from the event. Reminds them why they were helping you in the first place, like people actually get something out of this, and what you liked most about it. I got to see my friends from other chapters. I got to learn how to overcome obstacles. We took a huge group picture in the middle and it was really fun. Whatever it is, mention it, Play up GlamourGals. I stuck this in at the last minute, but keep exclamation points to a minimum. Even my mom sends me texts with 18 exclamation points. Nothing's that exciting that has happened yet, but it's like, hi, and you don't need that many exclamation points. So we want to come off as like a little professional. We know what we're doing here. We're not like, thank you so much, okay? You can put one if it's something really exciting, but keep them to a minimum. Allude to the future. Today is not the last time that we're going to be asking people for help, right? We're going to need help for other makeovers and events. So add something in the thank you note about how you're looking forward to the next GlamourGals makeover event, or the Glammy something. Remind them that we do a lot of things here and that this isn't the only time we're going to need them. All right. Unless you're Gossip Girl, don't end the note with XOXO. I get this all the time, and I'm like, wow, you want to hug and kiss me? That's really weird. We've met once. A better option is to write best, just best, sounds very formal, best. Regards, warmly. I don't really love unless you really love them, but just get rid of the XO. It's fine for your friends. Last, read it out loud to make sure it sounds right, conversational, not awkward. Sometimes when you're writing the words, they seem really stiff, and then when you read it back, you're like, wow, that's a really weird note. If you want to say it out to somebody first, turn to like your friend and be like, does this sound good? And then write it down. And that's really it. It's not rocket science, but it's actually not super easy to sit down and write a good note either. So those are my tips for cupcake notes. I'm going to go get a cupcake after this because I'm hungry. I hope that that was helpful for you guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing your notes. All right?